Hi, I'm Joy Baldridge, here to bring a little more joy to your world. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. So whether you're live or watching archive, you'll get some useful golden nuggets. If you are live, please be sure to like this program and share it with everyone, and also make some comments so I can reply to your comments. So the name of this program is Nailed It, Getting Job Offers by Nailing Every Interview. And how do you do that? Well, there's lots of technique for that. I was spending about 15 years of my career as a professional interviewer and recruiter. I was #1 in the Northeast region, maybe in a bigger span of region, but for all I know, it was the Northeast region, because I placed over 600 candidates in successful sales positions over a span of about 10 to 12 years. I also managed a team of recruiters, and in that time frame, there were many ways that I saw people get positions, get offers, get great jobs, and not. So if you're looking for a job, if you want to start a career, if you know somebody who is looking for a position and all it takes is that really great interview to get in the door and stay there, I'm here to help. So I'll give you a few of the quick golden nuggets, joy gems to start, and then I'll do a deep dive on each one. So what I was always taught was that you must first know that your goal is to be the top candidate for any job that you apply for. You want to be the top, best candidate. In the recruiting world, we call that an MPA. MPA, it's been a while. MPA is most placeable applicant. So your goal is to be the MPA, a most placeable applicant. How do you be a most placeable applicant? I'll tell you in just a minute. Second goal is you have to go for the offer. I can't tell you the heartache that I felt when I could not reverse things that happened on interviews for candidates that I coached so heavily and so thoroughly, and only to find out that they did not get the offer because they weren't too sure they wanted the offer. So rule number 2 is to make it in your mind and in your body and in your appearance. See, I'm wearing a suit today, that you are MPA, most placeable applicant. But number 2, you have to go for every offer. I don't care what job you're applying for. You want them to want you. You want them to want you very, very badly. So make sure that they want you and they are just eager to give you the offer instead of everyone else. And as I mentioned, I've had people come to me and say, you know, I slept on it and it's a job I think I would really love. And then I would say, well, what did you do in the interview? And I said, well, I wasn't as enthusiastic because I wasn't too sure what it was about. Yikes, don't do that. So go for every offer, because you can always say no, right? You can always say no, but you can't get them to reignite the passion of hiring you. So MPA, most placeable applicant, go for every offer. And 3, you have to dress for success. But dressing for success is so different now than it has been in the past. And what I mean by that is you have to dress for the culture of the organization that you're going to be working in. For instance, my daughter just bought a Zoomy longboard. So she's 50, bought the Zoomy longboard. And we had a problem because it never came. And it was a month. And we were all disappointed because, like, where is it? We're waiting, and then finally we called, and they couldn't find it. Has that ever happened to you, where they just can't find your order? Luckily, she paid through PayPal, and so right before we hung up, thinking, like, wait, my money's gone, and we don't have the board, she said I paid through PayPal, and then the customer service agent, who was amazing, his name is Nico May, he said I could use his name on this broadcast, and in the article I'm going to write about him, he was amazing customer service guy. So Nico May said, wait a minute, you know, the reason we didn't send you the longboard is because it was damaged, and so we're going to have to get you another one. And so what does this have to do with what I'm talking about? A lot, because I asked Nico May for this broadcast what happened in the interview process when he was interviewing for his job at Zoomy. And if you know Zoomy, they're a pretty cool place. It's, you know, skateboards and stuff. It's not, you know, corporate America, and they certainly wouldn't be wearing something like this. And I said, how did you get the job? You're really good at what you do. And he said, well, in the interview process, they just really focused on 2 questions, and I answered them well, and that's why I'm here. And I'm actually doing really well, even though he was only there a short time. He's getting a lot of praise and a lot of good feedback. I said, well, what were the 2 questions? And he said, well, the two questions were, one, why do you think you can even fit into our culture? Because the culture is definitely different. It's longboards, it's skateboards. And it's got that kind of California vibe, and it's young and youthful and hip and happening and, all that good stuff. And so he said, I felt like I fit in perfectly with the culture. He said, because I have this big bushy beard and I'm going to be in customer service and I like to dress down and I'm good with people and I like the atmosphere. And I said, what's the atmosphere like at Zoomies? And he said, well, we have big, huge, like floor to ceiling mirrors at every corner of the company. So when you go down a hall and you're at a corner, you're going to see this huge mirror. I'm like, what's the mirror for? And he said, oh, the mirror is because when we go anywhere in the company, most of us are on a longboard or a skateboard. I said, what? He said, yeah, we just jump on our longboard and we just go. And the mirrors are there so that we don't collide into one another. I said, wow, that's really cool. And he said, yeah, so that's like a culture that I can handle. That's a culture I would love and thrive in. And we do fun, cool stuff all the time there. So I fit right in. And it doesn't matter whether I have a college degree or a high school degree or none of that matters. It just matters that I do a good job and people think my service is exceptionally good. And then it always ends up working out. We just rise to the top because of that, because of real things and not, not as he said, doing it just because the man wants you to do it, that kind of thing. And I just thought that was really fascinating. So he was right. So that's the third golden nugget, right? You have to fit into the culture of the place that you are interviewing for. I know some of my clients, for instance, they would never drive up to one of their clients in a car that wasn't an American-made car because their client was all about American-made. You have to know, what is the culture and what is the value of where you're meeting and interviewing. And so the culture is really key. And you might be wondering, what's the second question that they asked him on his interview? And the second question was, how independent are you? Because you're going to have to make independent decisions. You're not going to always be coming to us for these decisions. How independent are you? And I said, wow, you've been really independent throughout this whole conversation because the longboard got lost in the mail and it was damaged anyway, so they were trying to recall it. And we didn't hear from them. I don't know why we didn't hear from them, but he was very apologetic. It was a longboard that was originally $200 that my daughter got for 40% off. It was discontinued because it was out of stock because it was such a great price. And so she was disappointed there were no more. And then all the other longboards that were on sale were not, they just weren't as nice. Or he would say they were low on stock and he didn't want it to happen to us again. And we were like, well, what do we do? And then he said, well, why don't I give you an extra, $40 off a non-discounted longboard? And we said, okay, we could do that, but we didn't like any of them. So we saw one we liked, but it was $60 more. And he said, you know what, I'll just do it. So afterward, when I asked him what he interviewed to get the job, how did he go about the process, because I was doing this show, he said, when they say you have to be independent thinking, I didn't once put you on hold. I didn't once ask my manager. I didn't once say, oh, I can't do that, because that's not the culture here, and that has everything to do with being independent. So he was the perfect fit for the job, and he's thriving and he's happy, and it's just fascinating to me. And so if we just recap what we've talked about so far, just the three major golden nuggets, you probably remember the first one, which is just three letters. I've said it many times. It's MPA, most placeable applicant, be that. The second is offer, get it, go for it, try for it, no matter what. And I'll tell you how to do that in a bit as well. And then number three, make sure you're a fit for this culture, because you're going to have to spend a lot of time at this company, every single day, unless you become an entrepreneur like me, and then you have a little bit more free reign on how you spend your days. Actually, according to Sir Richard Branson, that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, is that you actually can decide how you spend your day, how you spend your time. So I highly recommend it. Then you have to hire you. Give yourself an offer. You can do that too. I'm sure I'll have a show about that coming up. And so those are the three core elements, and we're about halfway through the program now. So please like it if you liked it, and please share if you share. And oh my gosh, we've already got 3 blue hearts from my friend Kate Kate Pope. And just wanted to say thanks, shout out to Kate. Katrin, I didn't know your last, I didn't know it was Katrin. I thought it was Kate. Anyway, I like it. So thanks for writing in. We've got Will on the line too, and we've got Michelle again. Hi, Michelle. So just wanted to say we're halfway through. Let's get to the other half. So how do you become the most placeable applicant? How do you get the offer? And how do you fit into a culture? Well, fitting into a culture is pretty obvious. You're going to get a gut feel on that. So let's focus on the other two. One of the other two is the most placeable applicant. To be the most placeable applicant, when I'm a recruiter, I would give you a list, and the list would say, here are the 10 things you need to do to be a most placeable applicant. And what I mean by that is you have to return my phone call quickly. You have to be presentable. You have to speak well. You have to care. You have to be responsible. You have to put your best foot forward. You have to start marketing and branding yourself and thinking about all the good and positive things that you've done. You have to have good examples. You have to do research. You have to ask great questions when you're on an interview. You have to be likable. You have to be trustworthy. You have to be nice. You have to be friendly. You have to care about other people and not think all about yourself. You want to make it a dialogue between you and the interviewer as opposed to it being all about you and getting this job. No, you want to kind of interview them as they interview you so you can see if this is a match in a marriage more so. And so those are some ways that you become the most placeable applicant. You also practice answering questions and asking questions before you go into the interview. So that's how you become a most placeable applicant. And that's how you would be one of my top 10. And I almost always placed my top 10 applicants out of the hundreds of people that I would interview or I would talk to or I would see resumes of. So there's your MPA advice. And you can replay this if I said it too fast, but I'm very passionate about what it takes to get a good job or a career. And the next is getting the offer. Well, getting the offer has a lot to do with everything I just mentioned. But in addition to all of that, if you really want to get an offer, you have to go in there like you own it. You have to go in there like you've got it. You got to go in there with confidence. And what helps with building confidence is what I talk about almost in every program, which is breathing. So let's try it now. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to do this like a ninja. You have to be the breathing ninja. Because when you're going into an interview, we usually stop breathing and we go, we choke. You can't nail it if you're going to choke. So instead, what you can do is you can breathe. Breathe in the car. Breathe in the traffic if you're in traffic. Don't run late. You got to be, you definitely as a most placeable applicant have to be 15 minutes ahead of schedule. In the lobby 15 minutes, not looking for a parking spot 15 minutes. So you want to breathe while you're looking for the parking spot. Breathe when you walk into the door. Breathe when you walk in the elevator. Breathe all the way up to the floor. Breathe in the lobby. I'm not talking hyperventilating. No, I'm talking inhale. Hold it. Exhale to the count. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a nice way to go. And then you have to watch your self-talk. In order to get the offer, you have to watch your self-talk. You don't want to be too confident and you don't want to be too insecure. It's kind of the degrees between confidence and insecure, overconfidence and underconfidence. And breathing helps you be in the present tense. Before you go on the interview, you can make a list of your achievements. You can make a life achievement award for yourself, regardless of how old you are. I know when I was 21 and I was interviewing for my first job, my life achievement award said that I was a springboard diver at the Roxbury Swimming Club and that I won the most improved award that my coach told me was the best award because it meant I was constantly improving myself as opposed to just having the talent to get the high scores. And that stuck with me and gave me the confidence. I was a speaker. My parents taught me how to be a speaker because they owned the Baldridge Learning Center in Greenwich, Connecticut. And so I learned how to be a speaker. So I knew I was a good speaker and communicator. And in the DECA Club in high school, I won the interview award because I guess out of 50 people in high school, was the best one in the mock interview we did at the contest. And I got to go to the next step. I didn't win the states and I didn't win the nationals, but hey, I won the regionals and that's on my Life Achievement Award. So what is it? I'm a positive person. Like write 10 things about yourself before you walk into any interview and look it over and remember how good you are. I have a really great friend. Her name is Sue Cronin. And I was feeling very, very intimidated by a big cheese guy that I was going to be meeting with to do some collaboration on a project. And I said, gosh, I'm so intimidated. Look at his credentials, and I don't know if we're going to work together, and I really want this. And she said, Joy, do you know who you are? I said, yeah, who? She said, you're Joy Baldridge. You're Joy Baldridge. What do you mean you're intimidated by this guy? And it's so funny because when I heard that, it just got me much better in the meeting. And no, we never even did the deal, but it didn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get the offer or you don't get the offer. I mean, what will be will be. What matters is that you know who you are, you give it your best shot, and then you let the chips fall where they may, because, you know, you have to control the controllables. Of course, we'd like everybody to say yes. Yes, we want them all to say yes, and you to say yes to the job. It's a two-way street. They want you to say yes as much as you want to say yes. But if you don't get the job, it's okay. But it's only okay if you're flexible and adaptable. AFA all the way, always flexible and adaptable. So what did I just say? You got to keep breathing. Keep breathing, because when you breathe, all is well, all is well, all is perfectly well and unfolding as it should. So stop with all the pressure. Control what you can and let it all go. You want to be like Bob. Remember Bob? You know Bob, right? His name is Bob, and he spells it backwards. He's my favorite stress buster guy. I'll send you a Bob if you send me your address. Just write in your address, and you can have a bag of Bobs. I'll even give you 12. Oh, we're getting some people for that offer. Awesome. So, you know, you want to be like Bob, cool Bob. You know, cool dude. You can do this. And why? Because you're worth it. They're lucky to have you. And that's what I say on my references whenever anybody calls me for a reference of anybody I've ever worked with or have encountered in my life that I think is really good. I say, you will be lucky to have this person work for you because they are that good. Are you that good? Are you so good someone would be lucky to have you? And if so, great. And if not, work on that, because you want people to be lucky to work with you. Lucky because you're kind and you're talented and you're successful and you're a good person and you're a great team player. But if you say all of those types of things on an interview, you might sound a bit cliche. So let's talk about getting the offer a little bit more. Write down interview questions. Interview questions like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Why are you interested in this job? What do you know about our organization? What can you contribute to our organization? Do you know anybody else who works here? What are they saying about our company? I mean, you want to be prepared for everything. What research have you done? What makes you the one I should hire? Those are all the kinds of questions. You want to write them all down. You can play this back on the archives and just write them all down or send it to someone who needs this, because some people might need this information, and it works. Also, the dreaded question they're going to say is, do you have any questions for me? I've been asking you enough questions, and you're just like, uh-oh. And a lot of people have this really canned answer like, well, you've been so thorough, I can't think of any, or I really appreciate everything you told me about the position and all that stuff. You can't say that if you want to be the most placeful applicant. You can't say that if you're going for the offer, I don't think. I think what you can say is, well, maybe if you could describe to me, or don't even say maybe because it sounds tentative, just say, yes, I have a few questions. One question that's coming to mind is, could you please describe the person or the characteristics of the people that you enjoy working with best, the ones that were the best hires that you've made, that are either still here or not still here, but could you describe the characteristics of your best hires, what you were most satisfied with and why it worked out? That's a really good question. And then my favorite question, this got almost everybody the job. This is the money question, the phrase that pays. And you say, and also, could you tell me some of the things that would actually exceed your expectations? You've shared the job description with me, and I can do everything that was mentioned very well. I have the experience for it, and I'd love to do it. It's work I'm passionate about. I was just wondering or curious about what exceeds your expectations, what's off the job description, beyond the job description, something that, or several things that you've seen people do who work here that you just say, wow, they are incredible. They really are such good people to work with. I'm so glad. I'm proud to be working with that person. So those are a few tips on the getting the offer phase. And of course, the culture has to be a fit, so you have to determine that. So just to wrap up, because we only have about 4 to 6 seconds, you want to be the MPA, you want to go for the offer and don't look back. You can always say no, and finally make sure it's a cultural fit. And so now I'll sign off. This is Joy Baldridge. I'm wishing you to bring a little more joy to your world in this segment. 20 minutes of joy in the morning. Hope you nail it. Get the job. You can do it. Bye. I have to find the button. This happens every time. Okay, my mouse pad is stuck. Bye. Get the offer.